A desperate midnight plea, a vanished friend, and a staged crime scene that shocked an entire town. Beneath the surface of Riverview Heights, a tangled web of jealousy, manipulation, and deceit unfolded. What drove this chilling conspiracy? And who was truly pulling the strings? Join us on Silent Crime Case as we uncover the sinister truths behind the Riverview Theater Murders. A story so twisted, you won't believe where it leads. The text arrived unexpectedly. Can you come over tonight at midnight? Alone. I need to talk. Isabella Alvarez stared at the message, her heart heavy with worry. She quickly typed back asking what was wrong. The reply came almost instantly. Family stuff. Please, Bella, I don't know who else to talk to. The sender was her close friend Adrian Parker, someone she had always trusted. As the clock neared midnight, Isabella arrived at Adrian's apartment complex in Lakewood Heights, Missouri. The parking lot was eerily quiet under the glow of the streetlights. She sent a quick text to her brother, informing him of her whereabouts before walking toward Adrian's door. From inside, muffled sobs could be heard. Isabella's final text to her brother read, "Adrian is crying, it's not good." Earlier that evening, Isabella had been celebrating at her brother's engagement dinner. He and his fiancée had just asked her to be a bridesmaid. She was ecstatic, wearing a tiara they gifted her as part of her outfit. Throughout dinner, her phone buzzed with messages from Adrian, his tone increasingly distressed. Determined to support him, Isabella left the celebration to check on her friend. By the next morning, Isabella's parents realized she hadn't come home. Calls to her phone went unanswered, a rarity for their responsible daughter. As panic set in, her parents contacted the police. Elsewhere, Adrian's parents were also searching for their son. Their worst fears were realized when Adrian's father discovered a chilling scene inside the apartment, eerily mirroring an unresolved case from Adrian's past. That same morning, Adrian's father, Richard Parker, drove to his son's apartment, clutching a spare key Adrian had entrusted him with. The Parkers had tried calling Adrian multiple times, only to be met with silence. Worried, Richard decided to check on him personally. As he stepped inside the modest apartment, an unsettling stillness greeted him. The lights were on, and nothing appeared out of place. But as Richard ventured toward the bedroom, a horrific scene froze him in place. Kneeling beside the bed was a young woman, her torso slumped over the mattress, her legs limp on the floor. Her jeans had been slashed and her back bore a chilling message scrawled in black ink. "All yours, you monster." Blood matted her hair, and a tiara perched grotesquely on top of her head. Richard recognized her immediately. It was Isabella, his son's close friend and college tutor. In a panic, Richard backed away and called 911. Detectives arrived swiftly, securing the crime scene and piecing together the grim tableau. Isabella had been shot twice in the head. The positioning of her body and the message suggested the act was both personal and staged. Detectives noted Adrian's conspicuous absence. His phone, wallet, and car were missing. A preliminary sweep of the apartment revealed Adrian had left behind a few peculiar items, a soldier's handbook, and a journal filled with cryptic notes. While the scene screamed foul play, Adrian's unexplained disappearance left everyone questioning whether he was a victim or a suspect. As the day wore on, word of the murder spread through the quiet community, sending shockwaves through neighbors and friends alike. The grim discovery was only the beginning of a case that would spiral into even darker revelations. Detectives immediately turned their focus to Adrian Parker, a 27-year-old Army veteran who had served 2 tours in Afghanistan. Friends described him as disciplined and reserved, but some hinted at unresolved trauma from his time in combat. After returning to civilian life, Adrian had enrolled in Riverview Community College, where he met Isabella in their anthropology class. The two had grown close, with Isabella often helping Adrian with his studies. Friends and family described their bond as sibling-like, though investigators couldn't ignore the possibility of a romantic entanglement. As investigators delved deeper into Adrian's background, they uncovered a startling revelation. 8 years earlier, Adrian had been charged as an accessory in a gang-related murder. Though acquitted at trial, the case cast a long shadow over his life. Detectives couldn't help but draw parallels between that incident and Isabella's gruesome death. Meanwhile, the search for Adrian intensified. His car was entered into nationwide databases, and officers canvassed the area, speaking to neighbors and friends. A break came when a neighbor recalled seeing Adrian leave the complex the previous afternoon with an unfamiliar man wearing a black baseball cap. This clue, combined with Adrian's missing belongings, raised questions. Was Adrian fleeing for his life, or was he on the run from justice? The investigative team worked tirelessly, analyzing phone records, bank transactions, and CCTV footage. Every detail pointed to Adrian's involvement, yet his disappearance left too many unanswered questions. The deeper they dug, the murkier the case became, setting the stage for shocking twists to come. As detectives worked tirelessly to track Adrian, his father, Richard, conducted his own investigation. Richard refused to believe his son was capable of such a heinous act. Determined to find him, he accessed Adrian's bank account, a precautionary measure they had agreed upon years ago. What he found was both alarming and perplexing. Over the past 48 hours, Adrian's account had been repeatedly drained at local ATMs, with $400 the daily maximum withdrawn each time. Then, an unusual charge appeared: an order for pizza. Richard immediately drove to the pizza parlor, hoping to spot Adrian. He parked outside, scanning the area for hours, but his son never showed. Detectives, too, were investigating Adrian's financial activity. Surveillance footage from an ATM revealed a shocking twist. The person withdrawing money wasn't Adrian, but a teenage boy. When questioned, the boy claimed he had been given the card by someone else and was merely following instructions. This mirrored a peculiar incident from Adrian's past when he had been charged as an accessory in a gang-related murder 8 years earlier. Although acquitted, the shadow of that case loomed large. Richard's hunt for his son became increasingly desperate. He retraced Adrian's steps, speaking to friends and neighbors, clinging to the hope that his son was innocent. The mounting evidence suggested otherwise, but Richard's unwavering belief in Adrian's character kept him going. Meanwhile, detectives began to suspect that Adrian's disappearance might not be voluntary at all. Attention soon turned to another resident of the Riverview apartment complex, 28-year-old Marcus Vance. Marcus was a part-time actor heavily involved in community theater and a neighbor of Adrian's. He and his fiancée, Laura Bennett, had moved into the complex 6 months earlier and quickly befriended Adrian. Detectives learned that Marcus had been the one to mention seeing Adrian with the mysterious man in the baseball cap. However, new evidence suggested Marcus might know more than he was letting on. The teenage boy who had withdrawn money using Adrian's card identified Marcus as the person who gave it to him. When questioned, Marcus's demeanor shifted. Initially cooperative, he now seemed evasive. He claimed Adrian had called him for help, explaining he needed to disappear due to trouble. Marcus said he agreed to assist, providing Adrian's debit card to the teenager as part of a convoluted plan to make it seem like Adrian was still in the area. But his story raised more questions than answers. Was Marcus aiding a fugitive, or was he orchestrating something far more sinister? Detectives pressed Marcus on his involvement, uncovering inconsistencies in his timeline. As the web of deception unraveled, it became clear that Marcus knew more than he was willing to admit. The investigation took a sharp turn, bringing detectives closer to the truth, a truth far more chilling than anyone could have imagined. With Marcus Vance now in the spotlight, detectives began to uncover layers of deceit that pointed to a larger conspiracy. Marcus maintained his claim that he had only helped Adrian out of desperation and loyalty. However, as investigators traced his activities on the day of Isabella's murder, troubling inconsistencies emerged. Bank records revealed that the withdrawals from Adrian's account were not random, they were strategically spaced out, suggesting premeditation. Surveillance footage from multiple ATMs showed Marcus accompanying the teenage boy at least twice, a detail Marcus conveniently failed to mention. Detectives also uncovered text messages between Marcus and his fiancée Laura, discussing the plan and the need to keep it together. Laura Bennett was brought in for questioning. Initially calm, her demeanor shifted when presented with the evidence. She admitted to knowing about Marcus's involvement, but insisted she had no direct role in the events. However, her claim crumbled when detectives discovered deleted texts on her phone referencing the staged crime scene. As the walls closed in, Marcus confessed to fabricating the story about Adrian's escape. He admitted to writing the chilling message on Isabella's back, but claimed he did so under duress. According to Marcus, he had been coerced by an unknown third party who had threatened both him and Laura. This revelation added a new layer of intrigue. Was Marcus telling the truth, or was this yet another elaborate lie to deflect blame? Detectives' frustration grew. Every lead seemed to create more questions than answers. The deeper they dug, the more they realized that this case was not the straightforward crime of passion it initially appeared to be. While interrogations continued, detectives received a breakthrough. Adrian's car had been located in a secluded wooded area about 15 miles from Riverview Heights. The vehicle was locked, and its exterior showed no signs of damage. However, what investigators found inside painted a far darker picture. The backseat contained a duffel bag filled with clothes, a flashlight, and several bottles of water, suggesting that Adrian had intended to flee or had been preparing for a prolonged absence. More disturbing, however, was the blood spatter on the passenger seat and a single bullet lodged in the dashboard. Forensics quickly confirmed that the blood matched Isabella's. The discovery of the car shifted the investigation's trajectory. If Adrian had been planning to flee, why abandon his car with evidence inside? And if Marcus's claims of coercion were true, could Adrian have been the true target all along? Detectives speculated that whoever staged Isabella's murder might have planned to frame Adrian completely. Nearby, officers found a shallow grave that appeared freshly dug, though it was empty. This grim discovery fueled fears that Adrian's disappearance was more sinister than initially thought. Was he in hiding, or had he met the same fate as Isabella? With no definitive answers, the car became a key piece of evidence connecting multiple suspects but offering no clear resolution. The pressure on detectives mounted as media coverage of the case exploded. Riverview Heights residents, once quiet and trusting, now lived in fear, wondering if a killer was still among them. As forensic teams meticulously combed through Adrian's car, they uncovered a crucial clue: a partial fingerprint on the inside of the duffel bag. When the print was run through the system, it did not match Adrian, Marcus, or Laura, but belonged to Victor Reyes, a local drifter with a criminal record for burglary and assault. Victor was picked up for questioning within hours. Disheveled and uncooperative, he initially denied knowing anything about the case. However, when confronted with the fingerprint evidence, his story changed. Victor admitted to breaking into Adrian's car a week earlier, but claimed he had found it abandoned. He denied any involvement in the murder and insisted he had never met Adrian or Isabella. Despite Victor's denials, detectives couldn't ignore the timing of his involvement. Further investigation revealed that Victor had been seen near Marcus's apartment complex on the night of Isabella's murder. A witness reported overhearing a heated argument between a man matching Victor's description and another male whose voice they didn't recognize. Victor's involvement complicated the narrative further. Meanwhile, investigators couldn't shake the parallels to Adrian's past, a case that also involved a third party acting under mysterious circumstances. The fingerprint provided a lead, but also muddied the waters, leaving detectives struggling to untangle the web of connections. As the investigation progressed, detectives turned their attention to Marcus Vance's other passion, the Riverview Community Theater. Interviews with fellow actors and staff revealed a tight-knit but competitive environment, where egos clashed and secrets festered. Several cast members described Marcus as charming but manipulative, a man who thrived on drama both on and off the stage. One actor mentioned a bizarre incident just weeks before Isabella's murder. During a late-night rehearsal, Marcus had allegedly staged a mock crime scene as part of an impromptu acting exercise. While most dismissed it as a harmless prank, one cast member recalled feeling deeply uncomfortable, describing Marcus's demeanor as too intense. Another claimed Marcus had joked about getting away with murder if he ever wanted to. Detectives also learned that Marcus had access to the theater after hours, raising suspicions about his movements on the night of the murder. Security footage from the theater's parking lot showed Marcus's car arriving shortly after Isabella left her brother's house. The footage also revealed a second car, matching the description of Adrian's pulling in minutes later. This discovery placed both men at the theater, a potential crime scene investigators had yet to examine thoroughly. The theater's connection to the case became undeniable. Detectives obtained a warrant to search the premises, hoping to uncover evidence that would unravel the mystery. What they found would confirm their worst fears. The search of Riverview Community Theater unearthed chilling evidence. In the basement storage area, detectives found a blood-stained tarp and a hatchet with traces of dried blood. Forensic analysis confirmed the blood matched both Isabella and Adrian, solidifying the theater's role in the crime. Even more disturbing, a hidden compartment in the attic revealed Adrian's dog tags and a photograph of Isabella, both smeared with blood. This gruesome discovery painted a haunting picture of the crime. It became evident that Adrian and Isabella had been lured to the theater under false pretenses, where their fates were sealed. Detectives theorized that Marcus had used his knowledge of the theater's layout to stage the crime and cover his tracks. However, the presence of Victor Reyes's fingerprint and Laura's involvement in covering up the events complicated the narrative. The possibility of multiple conspirators grew stronger. As investigators pieced together the timeline, they realized the precision and planning required for the crime exceeded what Marcus alone could have orchestrated. The evidence pointed to a sinister collaboration, but the motives and full extent of the involvement remained unclear. The community's trust in the theater shattered. Once a place of creativity and escape, it was now forever tainted by the horrors that unfolded within its walls. The next step for detectives was clear: unravel the final connections and bring everyone involved to justice. With the theater search yielding undeniable evidence, detectives zeroed in on Marcus Vance and Laura Bennett. However, the complexity of the crime suggested they hadn't acted alone. The investigation shifted to uncover the full scope of the conspiracy. A chilling new lead came when detectives discovered Marcus had been communicating with Victor Reyes weeks before the murder. Text messages between Marcus and Victor painted a disturbing picture. In one exchange, Marcus referenced the perfect stage for the finale, an eerie nod to the crime scene at the theater. Victor's reply hinted at his involvement. "Just say when. I'll clean up." This revelation placed Victor deeper into the plot, contradicting his earlier claim of being uninvolved. Laura, under mounting pressure, admitted she'd overheard Marcus and Victor discussing plans that sounded like a joke. She insisted she hadn't taken them seriously. However, her role in disposing of evidence, combined with her deleted texts, suggested otherwise. Detectives began piecing together a narrative where Marcus orchestrated the crime, with Victor and possibly Laura as accomplices. Further investigation revealed that Marcus's motive might have been rooted in jealousy. Emails recovered from Isabella's laptop indicated she had been helping Adrian apply for a prestigious internship. Marcus, struggling in his acting career, saw Adrian as a rival. Detectives theorized that Marcus's envy spiraled into rage, leading him to hatch a plan to eliminate both Isabella and Adrian. As the conspiracy unraveled, prosecutors prepared to charge Marcus, Laura, and Victor. But the case's shocking twists weren't over. A final piece of evidence emerged that changed everything. This revelation not only deepened the case, but hinted at unspoken connections among the conspirators. The break investigators had been waiting for came when Adrian's brother, Michael Parker, handed over a hidden recording device Adrian had been using. Adrian, suspicious of Marcus, had secretly recorded several conversations in the weeks leading up to the murder. The audio files provided a damning insight into the crime's planning. One recording captured Marcus ranting about Adrian's perfect life. In another, Marcus explicitly mentioned using the theater's attic as a safe place to store things. The most chilling recording was a conversation between Marcus and Victor. In it, Marcus detailed how he intended to lure Isabella to the apartment and frame Adrian for her murder. The recordings painted Marcus as the mastermind, manipulating everyone around him to carry out his twisted plan. Victor's involvement was also solidified. He was heard agreeing to handle the aftermath in exchange for payment. Laura's voice appeared in one recording, expressing doubts but ultimately agreeing to stay silent. This admission was damning, exposing her complicity beyond any shadow of doubt. This evidence was a turning point. Marcus could no longer deny his role, and Victor's claims of being an unwitting participant were debunked. Laura's complicity became undeniable. Detectives worked swiftly to secure arrest warrants for all three. The audio recordings became the prosecution's cornerstone, providing the jury with an unfiltered look at the conspirators' chilling conversations. As the arrests were made, the community's relief was palpable. Yet, the trial that lay ahead promised to reveal even darker aspects of the case, including unspoken motives and potential accomplices who had yet to be identified. The recordings also hinted at a broader network of trust that Marcus had used to carry out his plans, creating a chilling dynamic for the investigators. The trial began amidst a media frenzy, with every detail scrutinized by the public. Marcus Vance faced multiple charges, including first-degree murder, conspiracy, and tampering with evidence. Victor Reyes and Laura Bennett were charged as co-conspirators. Prosecutors painted a vivid picture of manipulation and cold-blooded planning, shocking even seasoned courtroom attendees. The recordings played a pivotal role, allowing jurors to hear Marcus's chilling words firsthand. Prosecutors emphasized his jealousy-fueled motive and his calculated efforts to frame Adrian. Victor's defense argued he had been coerced, but the text messages and recordings suggested otherwise. Laura's lawyer claimed she had been manipulated by Marcus, but her deleted texts and actions told a different story, painting her as more than just a passive participant. Family members of Isabella and Adrian testified, painting a heart-wrenching picture of the loss they had endured. Isabella's brother described her excitement on the night of her murder, unaware she was walking into a trap. Adrian's parents, who had initially held out hope for their son's innocence, shared the devastating impact of losing him to such a horrific conspiracy. Their testimony underscored the human cost of the crime, moving jurors to tears. In a dramatic moment, Marcus took the stand. His demeanor was defiant, blaming everyone but himself. He claimed the recordings were taken out of context and accused Adrian of provoking him. However, cross-examination dismantled his arguments, exposing the contradictions in his story. Prosecutors methodically highlighted the premeditation behind each action, leaving little room for doubt. The jury deliberated for 5 days before delivering their verdict. Marcus was found guilty on all counts, while Victor and Laura were convicted as co-conspirators. Sentencing was set for a later date, but the families finally felt a measure of justice had been served. Yet, the lingering questions about the conspirators' deeper motives would continue to haunt the community. The sentencing hearing was an emotional culmination of a case that had gripped the nation. Marcus Vance received life imprisonment without the possibility of parole. The judge described his actions as the epitome of calculated evil, emphasizing the pain he had inflicted on so many lives and the meticulous planning that went into the murders. Victor Reyes, while avoiding a life sentence, was handed 25 years for his role in the conspiracy. The judge acknowledged his troubled past, but stressed that his participation in such a heinous crime warranted severe punishment. Laura Bennett received a lighter sentence of 10 years, with the court recognizing her secondary role, but condemning her failure to act when she could have prevented the tragedy. Rachel's role as Marcus's fiancée became a topic of scrutiny during sentencing, with many believing she had more culpability than what was proven in court. For the families of Isabella and Adrian, the sentences brought mixed emotions. Isabella's parents expressed relief that justice had been served, but admitted no punishment could bring their daughter back. Adrian's brother Michael shared a poignant story of how Adrian had confided in him about struggling to reintegrate after his military service. These revelations highlighted the emotional toll that extended far beyond the courtroom. The case also sparked broader discussions about mental health, jealousy, and the dangers of unchecked envy. Community leaders in Riverview Heights called for initiatives to address these issues, hoping to turn the tragedy into a catalyst for positive change. Though the legal chapter had closed, the emotional scars remained. The case's legacy served as a reminder of the devastating consequences of manipulation and violence, leaving an indelible mark on everyone involved. Years after the trial, the Riverview Theater Murders remained a topic of discussion in true crime circles. Documentaries and books explored the case, delving into the psychological profiles of those involved. Marcus, now in maximum security, became a case study for criminologists examining the depths of envy-driven violence. His manipulative tendencies and charisma were analyzed as part of broader studies into criminal psychology. Victor Reyes, eligible for parole in 15 years, expressed remorse during interviews but maintained he had been a pawn in Marcus's scheme. Laura Bennett, released after serving 7 years, chose a quiet life, avoiding the public eye. Despite her attempts to move on, the stigma of her involvement lingered. Her struggles with reintegration highlighted the complexities of public perception in high-profile cases. For the community of Riverview Heights, the case served as a wake-up call. Local organizations established scholarships in Isabella's name, honoring her dedication to education and mentorship. Adrian's family founded a veterans support group, addressing the challenges faced by those returning from service. These initiatives became a source of hope and healing for a community still grappling with the aftermath of tragedy. The Riverview Community Theater, once a cherished cultural hub, struggled to recover from its dark association with the crime. Despite renovations and rebranding efforts, many locals couldn't separate the venue from its grisly history. Attendance dwindled, and the theater ultimately closed, leaving behind a haunting legacy. Ultimately, the case became a cautionary tale about the destructive power of unchecked emotions. For those who lived through it, the memory of Isabella and Adrian remained a guiding force, inspiring efforts to build a safer, more compassionate community. While justice had been served, the lessons of the Riverview Theater Murders would resonate for generations to come, serving as a haunting reminder of the fragility of trust and the resilience of those left behind. Their legacy endured, a symbol of tragedy but also of hope and perseverance. And so, the Riverview Theater Murders leave us with a haunting reminder of how far jealousy and manipulation can spiral out of control. While justice has been served, the scars left behind will forever mark the lives of those touched by this tragedy. What do you think about this case? Could more have been done to prevent it? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this story compelling, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an episode of Silent Crime Case. Stay vigilant, stay safe, and remember, sometimes the loudest secrets are the ones hidden in silence. Until next time, thank you for watching.